Yes, we are now live in effect. This is a Homes Under the Hammer time special. I got my guy Martin Roberts.
Yo, Mo, it's a pleasure.
Now, but before I get into Homes Under the Hammer, yeah, Martin, yeah, I don't know what it is about you, right, yeah, but you're funny without being funny, and it's such a pleasure to watch in the morning.
Well, I thank you for saying that. That's a great compliment coming from somebody of your skills in terms of comedy. So thank you. You know, I just took the decision at the start just to try and be me. And you know, what you see pretty much, Mo, is what what I do first take.
So you've been there from the start, right?
I have.
And I feel like within lockdown, it's definitely had a boom within this millennial generation. So talk to me about that. Do you think there's been a surge in people really getting onto Homes Under the Hammer a little bit more?
Well, I think probably people have been at home and sort of at a time of the day when they normally would be working. Yeah. And I suppose, you know, they think, oh, God, I'm so cheesed off. I'm just going to watch a bit of telly for a bit of light relief. And then they discover Homes Under the Hammer. I mean, you know, on one day, I remember it one bank holiday, we were the most watched programme throughout the entire day on BBC One. And it had like a 36% audience share. You know, and it's just crazy. And, you know, and here it still is. And, you know, I'm really proud of that. There was this amazing research by YouGov, which discovered that amongst millennials, like, I believe this or not, you know, you might say what completely rubbish, but it's more popular than Game of Thrones and Peaky Blinders and Killing Eve combined.
Wow.
I'm like, wow.
I believe it. Because I think for me, what's attracted me to the show, one, just in property in general, there's a lot of things I've learned, you know, make sure you read the pack, you know, buying grade 2 listed buildings, it's quite hard to get planning permission. I've learned this purely by watching Homes Under the Hammer. So I must thank you and the team for that.
Have you bought some houses?
I haven't bought a house yet.
Come on, Mo.
Yes. But every time I look at a house, I'm like, oh man, it might have damp. I've seen Homes Under the Hammer.
You know, there's always a way to fix things.
So you see with Homes Under the Hammer, right? When we're watching these programs, like especially Homes Under the Hammer, when we're watching it, we're seeing people buy, you know, a 15 grand property, and then they come back. You know, sometimes you guys visit them 2 years later. You know, how is that process for you guys? Because you guys kind of forget them. You know, there's a few regulars I see on the show. There's sometimes people I see on the show who just purely want to be on it. It's almost like I've gone to an auction to buy a house just to meet you guys. You know?
we have actually had a few people who've actually going to their prices to be on Homes Under the Hammer. That's a bit extreme. But I mean, one of the great things about the longevity of the show, because, you know, 17 years, is that we can leave properties for a long period of time. So we've been back to things 7 years later. I'd say it's always a bit of a shock when you know, imagine you seeing you on telly, what you look like.
Yeah.
You'd be like, oh, did I really wear those clothes? Did I really have my hair like that? You know? Well, you know, one of the things I think hopefully people like about it and know is that we'll never take the mickey out of people. We'll never laugh at them. We'll never make them seem stupid. But we will raise an eyebrow when they say, as one guy did in Swindon, in this particular it was a semi-detached, and he was going to do a full redecorate. He was going to put a new central heating system in, double glazing throughout. He was going to build an extension, rewire, put a new kitchen and a bathroom in. And I said, what's your budget? And he said 2,000 quid. So, you know, and I sort of raised an eyebrow, but you know, the viewer at home is going, you are having a
And I think that's what brought me to start doing Homes Under the Hammer time, because I would normally watch it in my bed. And then I started just filming myself. Watching my TV as I watch it, and I do this commentary. And weirdly enough, people said, "Oh man, this is so funny." So I turned it into more of like a YouTube series, because there's loads of reaction videos, but I like reacting to things that I generally like. But at the same time, what the program does, it teaches people. So there's a part of me that likes to feel that I'm, you know, if I'm teaching someone about something, I'm like, this is what they're saying on Homes Under the Hammer. You know, read the guide pack. You know, and plus, I think at a time where what I really like about Homes Under the Hammer, for me, it's a show it's almost like for the working class a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, grand design is great, but sometimes the aspirations of these houses don't feel like it's in reach. But sometimes when you see someone buy a house that costs 15 grand and then they flipped it to 30 grand, you're like, whoa, I want to get into this field, you know?
Yeah.
So how did you discover my Homes Under the Hammer time? I'm so intrigued, because I had Martel tweet me the other day. I'm still waiting for Dion. So and now have you ever seen an episode of My Homes Under the Hammer?
And listen, I want to tell you, what is wrong with the way I do at my coat? Because you're always having a go at the bottom button thing. Look, I'm a property expert. I'm not blooming a designer. I don't know how to do up my coat. What is the cool way to do up your coat, Mo? You know, because the first thing you say is, "No, isn't that a nice house?" Oh, look, he's got his bottom button and his coat on. I'm going to lay off the coat, Mo. Listen to what I'm saying about the property, the damn.
No, but Martin, man.
Bob done.
Sometimes I watch it and I'm like, because I'll be honest, yeah?
Yeah.
You're one of my favorites because. You know why you're one of my favorites, right? Because sometimes I'm looking at you, right? And I can see someone saying, yeah, you know, who's going to do the work? And he's like, yeah, I'm going to do it. And you have this look on your face, right? Where I feel like you're like us, where you're like, oh, really? Okay. But let's get on to the coat, yeah? Because I don't know if you're not ready, if you're like, cut, action. I know it's how we're on set. But you have this thing where I've seen it more than once where there's one button on the bottom of the coat. And when I mean it's a pet peeve, there's times I'm like, oh, come on, man. Why can't the producer just say, Martin, your bottom button is up? Oh, man.
I need to take some lessons, okay? How's the button there? Is that wrong or right?
You know what? That button's okay. See, the button's all right on here, Martin. But I'm going to be honest, yeah? The three of you here, if you change the sky, make it a bit darker, you guys could definitely get yourself an ITV crime drama. 100%, man. 100%, Martin, man. So, Martin.
Now, what's wrong here? This isn't about houses anymore. It's about what I'm wearing.
No, Martin. The swag, yeah, Martin. This is why I like you, Martin, yeah? Because you got the floral shirt on, you got your tight jeans on, and I'm a fan of the tight jeans with the Chelsea boots. I need you to talk me through some of these outfits sometimes, Martin, man.
So I don't know where the floral shirt started out. I think it was a contrast to some of the really dark and dingy properties that we were featuring. And I thought, I've got to brighten this up somehow. And I think somebody bought me a really, really bright shirt. And one day I was just thinking, oh, sorry, I don't care. I'm going to wear this. And I put it on. And actually, you know what? I thought it looked quite nice. And then it's just become a thing.
Is it a stylist you got doing this, or is it your own vibe?
No,
you're owning it, man.
This is a daytime TV show. No stylist, no makeup.
Yeah.
Nobody, you know, I write my own scripts. In fact, there aren't any.
Okay.
Whatever I say is just basically coming out of my mouth the first time I see it.
This was a good property.
Yeah. Oh, apart from the fact, I think the whole thing was sinking.
The house was sinking.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was built on a swamp in that classic Monty Python fashion. And that whole of this estate had been built on, I think, on some kind of a quarry. And
oh, wow.
I got a feeling that there were issues with the foundations in some of the property. So on the face of it, it looked great.
Yeah.
But there was trouble under the foundations.
Oh my! Because I remember, do you know what? With this episode, right? When I was looking back at it, I was like, "This is a lovely house. This isn't really a house you see. You find a lot of properties that aren't in great condition. So sometimes when I watch it with good condition, I'm like, oh, this is a bit different. This isn't normally the norm. But what you're saying, built on a swamp. Wow. Oh my gosh, man.
The people who'd left had actually taken all the light fittings. Look at the light switch.
Oh yeah.
Missing.
Oh shit.
And they'd taken the lights. There you go. Taken the light switches.
Wow.
And checked the sockets.
For some reason, they've all been taken.
There you go.
Left here, decided.
Totally bizarre.
They took the lights. Yeah. That is ghetto, man. How do you take the lights, man?
Yeah, I mean, we've been in places where, on this occasion, it was actually Grandad who'd been left behind. We found him in the bed. He was asleep. The family had actually left and forgotten to take Grandad with them. So we turned up the film crew and he was snoring in bed. It was like, what? And he woke up and he was like, yeah, and the family had just left. and they'd taken all their they'd taken the majority of their belongings, but they'd forgotten their granddad. So he
What?
was a bit
And he was sleeping.
yeah. So he wakes up and goes, "Where's my family?" And he's talking about his film crew and his family and all.
Now, the one thing I always notice on Homes and the Hammer, I've never seen a nice garden. The gardens are always derelict. Have you guys ever come across things in the garden where you're like, oh my gosh, we might have to leave? There's heroin needles.
Supposedly, before they go to auction, they're cleaned up. Somebody's supposed to go in there and sort that out. In this case, they haven't. And I don't know, you know, you can imagine how sometimes the way we film it is I'm walking and the cameraman is walking backwards to be able to film me as I walk.
Yeah.
And on one occasion, we were filming this particular place, and as he was walking backwards and as I was talking, I just happened to glance down, and he was just about to step on an upturned needle. I was like, "No!" Imagine the scariness of that. He stopped him and he didn't. So yeah, I mean, one of the things I always say to people, quite genuinely, is, you know, if you are going around properties, wear stout, you know, wear thick shoes.
Are there any horror stories of people buying a property for like 30 grand and it's basically worthless?
So there was one couple who bought this house and they didn't know, well, they thought they knew where it was, and they bought blind, which means they hadn't seen it, right? They turned up where they thought their house that they bought was, right? And it wasn't there.
Yeah. What?
Like, well, where's the house then?
Yeah.
They ended up, they sort of driving around the area going, where's the house we bought? So they ended up going to the local postmaster, you know, the post office, because post people know most things. They said, "Do you know a house that's been sold on an auction recently?" They said, "Oh yeah, sure, it's this one down here, blah blah blah." They told them where it was. So they drove like 5 miles from where they thought it was, and they found their house. The problem was it had a driveway leading to it, which they didn't have right of access over. So you've got a house with no way of getting to it other than by helicopter. So effectively, you couldn't get to it. You had no right of access to that property legally. So you couldn't drive to it. You couldn't walk to it. You couldn't bounce on a hopper balloon to it. The only way to get to it would be to actually drop down by a helicopter. So, you know, they paid 60 grand for something which effectively was worthless unless they could work out a deal with the neighbour who owned the driveway. And I think in the end they did.
Yeah.
It's always the people who don't. That's why I go on about it. And I say, did you see the property?
Yes.
Did you read the legal pack?
Yes, because sometimes I watch it and people's like, nah, man, I just seen it and bought it. That's crazy.
Yeah. People who bought properties which they've knocked down because they were turned out to be haunted. That was a spooky one. Yeah, we had a really interesting. Only a couple of times in 17 years have I been well freaked out in a property.
Yeah.
One time, we were filming, and halfway through the interview, the house was like really a bit spooky. It had like ivy coming in through the windows, all sorts of stuff, and obviously hadn't been lived in for a while. And all these security cameras everywhere. And it turns out the guy who lived there was a bit of a Howard Hughes type recluse character, and obviously he didn't like the idea of us being there in his house because he had all these security cameras. He was dead. He died in the house. And halfway through the interview with the new owners, I'm not joking, there was a pendant light on the ceiling. The bulb dropped off, but instead of landing directly underneath, it landed 3 feet away.
Oh, mate.
So it fell like that, bang, smash.
Spirits in the blood clot yard, my guy.
We finished the interview very quickly.
But the spirits. And also, do you know what's quite interesting is to see like some of the properties in the areas that they've done it in now, and you look at the house price now in the current market, and just to see what the inflation is, you know, who might have really lost a bit of money as well. It's definitely a thought, man. It's definitely a thought.
Yeah, because we were in places like, well, you know, we were in East London before the Olympics were even, you know, thought about. We were, you know, in some of the northern cities before they took off. You know, definitely, you know. So it would be fascinating. So we should do it. Now,
Martin, during lockdown, you became a meme. You've become a meme. How do you feel about becoming a meme? Not everyone becomes a meme, you know.
I was honoured, mate. I laughed myself silly when I first saw it. You know, when you've done a show and you've done about 3,000 interviews, there's lots of other things that could have been picked out and put back to back that I'm sure I've done time and time again.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you're talking about the whole piano thing,
Oh man.
you know, I and then somebody went to all the trouble of, you know, putting it to piano music, which it actually looks like it is actually the right notes if my hands were in that position.
Yeah.
I just thought it was brilliant. Honestly, I loved it. And I was touched the fact it went viral. I mean, you know, I don't know why things go viral, but it did, and it was really funny. I've obviously done some more interviews, and I've been very, very conscious starting out the interviews what to think, you know, do I do this? I had to make a decision. Do I actually stop doing it?
Yeah.
Or do I just carry on regardless? So I have carried on regardless.
You gotta capitalize on it, man. Listen, man, you gotta bring out your own piano and keyboards, man.
Yeah. Look at how many years this goes back, though. Before the beard, everything.
Now this is another meme. This is one of your colleagues, Dion Dublin. He also became a meme. Yes. I'm sure you've seen this one.
Yes.
This is top tier, man. You guys have both got good memes as well, you know. Here we go.
Stairs to the bedrooms. I'm genuinely touched that somebody goes to all the trouble of looking through these shows and taking out these little clips and putting them together. And you know, I think there's I get the feeling that there's a real warmth of towards the show, and I genuinely am proud to be part of that warmth. You know, it's lovely to get the kind of reaction we get.
But this clip, is one of my favorites because it's got yourself in it. You know, as I said, you're writing your own scripts. You know, you're giving us that kind of you give us these good little breakdowns about the property and stuff. But this one is mixed with a kind of the kind of music I would listen to, right? And this is one of my favorites. So without further ado, here we go.
It's ideal. Maybe think about converting that and sticking it upstairs. Other than that, yeah, it's a skipping job.
I don't know how they do it. They live in darkened cellars and they just spend hours finding the completely randomest selections. It's brilliant.
Have you ever seen this clip before?
No, I've missed this one. It's brilliant.
So that's a skip the track, right?
Yeah.
And it's
yeah, it's a skipping job.
That for me is one of the most random selection of music I've ever heard on a morning or daytime TV program. So hats off to everybody involved. But honestly, Martin, like, it's such a pleasure. Just like, and we never really met in real life. This is like the first time we meet and stuff. But it's such a pleasure, man. Because you know, I proper watch the show. I'm a big fan of the show. Whenever I do TV, and they say, "What do you watch?" I said, "Homes and Hammer Time." That's my vibe, man. And you guys are like the first people I often see in the morning. So I just wanted to say thanks for doing this. Like, I really appreciate your time, man. And I know I've gotten you about the button and the fashion, but honestly, it's nothing but good love and vibes, man. So
I get that, mate.
Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, all the very best. And as I said, you want to check out Martin Roberts' Property Tidbits. That's quite good fun as well. But I really appreciate the fact that you enjoy it. I really appreciate the fact that you take the trouble to lovingly take the mickey.
As I said, thank you so much. And listen, man, and have a good lockdown, bruv, because you deserve it, bruv. You bring me a lot of joy. So I hope you get a lot of joy as well. You know what I'm saying, bruv?
Yeah, all the very best, Mo.
Wicked, man.